What up, y'all? It's your boy OSGOE, One Sir Grover VVT, and England. Man, I'm about to be on the air here with Mike C. That is fellow rap band member, musical artist Mike Choi. Michael J.K. Choi. That is Mike C. Yo, we about to podcast. Give me one moment.
Hello.
What up, young?
Hold on.
You
Does it sound good?
You are on the air, bro. We are podcasting right now. You are on the podcast, casting 495 celebrities worldwide. C4CW. How you doing, young? What's going on? Michael J.K. Choi, a.k.a. Mike C. In the house, in the place to be with Grover D.
Mike C is in the house. Mike, check 1, check 2. Can you do the sound check? Can you hear me correct, though?
Man, the sound check sounds excelente, brethren. Yeah, nah, it's all good, man. I already checked the frequencies, you know.
Bueno.
Yes, see.
You're
You're late.
What's up, man? Everybody's feeling happy.
Yeah.
What's up?
It's the
How
summer.
you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling fucking fantabulous, bro. It's the motherfucking summertime and shit out here in the world, you know, wherever we be at and stuff like that. We got out of that little thaw, that little Arctic darkness, man. Got a little glacier melt going on, you know what I'm saying? A little coolness turned into a little warmness, man. Little butterflies around flying around like, you know, like Sound of Music and shit, you know, from the old school. What's happening though?
Man, even the fucking shadows of lights beautiful and thick. You know what I mean? Like everything looks good. You know, weather's been great. You know, the air quality's been fucking like superb.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, like, what's up, man? What's going on, man, bro? How is it going, man, up there in the neighborhood?
Man, out here, man, in NYC, New York City, you know what I'm saying, Manhattan and stuff, man. You know, East Coasting, man. I know, man, that you know, been out here before. You feel me? And man, we're just man, we're looking at these 495L4 projects, man, working with, you know, Sendo, aka Sen, aka Sen the Soul Stealer, Mr. You know what I'm saying, Broccoli Landers. That's Broccoli Landers' big scheme. You feel me?
Basically what you mean.
Absolutely.
Man, I wish
495,
dude, man,
495L,
you on.
yeah, 495L4. We just released a new clothing line and everything, man. And man, I heard that you was working on some new projects with the crew, which is us. It's us, man. This is about, man, what's happening though.
Man, I'm glad that you asked, man. I'm feeling good, man. And like, you know, I'm feeling good. Like I said, weather's nice. Spring is here. Winter's gone. Summer's about to come. You know, only thing that I'm like worried or concerned is like I gotta shape off my BODY. I gotta get ready for the beach. You know what I mean?
Oh man, you as long as I've known you, bro, you always been fit. You always got the Tiger Woods look, man. You play golf too, man. You always been trim, always been lean, always been fit, man. You always been athletic, bro. You
Congratulations to Tiger Woods who just won the majors.
absolutely masters.
Once again,
Yes.
man, dude, man. You know what he did is like, you know, he's like 40 something, right?
I don't know how old he is, but I know that it was like 11 years ago that he won the first time, right? Or not the first time, but I'm saying since he had his last win is what I'm saying.
It took about 10 years for him to win another fucking big major. You know what I mean? Like, it's like major in golf world. Like when you win like one, that's like, man, you made it, right?
Yeah.
Tiger Woods, he's already won 14, but it actually took him about like 4,000 days.
Damn.
Like, what's that? He's pretty good with math.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So you figure 365 and 1/4 days in the year times 10 is going to be 3,000 and some plus. So the media says like 11 years. So over 10 years, over a decade, like close to 11 years rounded off. Exactly.
Absolutely, man. This dude, man, just came back. And all this like drama that he had, and all the fucking faults that he caused.
Controversy.
Controversial bullshit that we all go through. but
Lose,
he's just Tiger Woods,
losing, taking
But
it,
like you said,
taking a few L's, losing some endorsements, just in a few millions of dollars, probably something like that.
yeah, as far as money goes, he's not concerned about that. But like I said, he just won like 15 major titles, which is phenomenal. That's like a spaceship, like fucking accomplishment. Like you can't go to one, you cannot go to Mars one time. But when you are able to like go to Mars, it's like 15 times. Like
Damn.
I don't know, man.
No, no,
That's like
you're right. And Young, you were talking about how like you were breaking it down since you're a golf aficionado and you play golf yourself, man. And I've seen your golf game. And by the way, Mike C, that is Michael J.K. Choi, his golf game is on point, and I've seen it like firsthand up front. Like since you know golf, we was talking about that the other day. We was talking about how like in the four, in the set of like 1, 2, 3, 4, there's the U.S. Open, right? European Open. Am I
right.
am I correct about that?
No, that's like a British Open,
A
like
British Open. That's what I'm
like
saying. That's what I'm saying. You're a British Open, and then there's the Masters, right?
PGA.
In the PGA, the PGA,
Right.
exactly.
There are four tournaments that happens every year, which are four majors.
Mm,
So like there are a lot of like golf tournaments every week. Like when you watch like Channel 4, Channel 9, CBS covers it, or NBC covers it. There is always a fucking PGA tournament. Like there's always somebody who's winning that fucking like tournament
right,
every week. But
right,
that doesn't really count. I mean, it counts. You make millions winning that tournament. But
wow.
like I said, like major tournaments, like the four tournaments that we just talked about, you just said, like British Open, U.S. Open, Masters, and PGA tournament.
PGA, yes.
Those are, yeah, when you're a player, like, just like, like NBA, like, you gotta go through all this, like, tournaments, playoffs and shit. It's a little different game, like, so, look it up, man. If you don't know, I mean, I can explain it to you, but it's gonna take a long time. So I don't really talk about golf that long, but, like I said, Tiger Woods, dude, man, like, at his age, like, 40 something, and winning 15th major title, like that's never been done. Besides this one guy named what's his name? Not
Jack
Arnold Palmer.
Jack Nicklaus.
Jack Nicklaus.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
he's about 3 ahead. He's about 3 ahead. So right now he's getting there. Everything else he has accomplished. He has won more tournaments than anybody else in the world. But major title.
Mm,
He's like backs, three backs. But it doesn't matter. But I think for Tiger Woods, it really matters. I think. If I was him, I would probably go for that last title,
of
right?
course, of
Which is like,
course.
but he's on there, man. And at his age, all these motherfuckers are like playing golf. They're like 20. They play golf since they were 5. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But at his age, winning that major title, fucking, just like brought a lot of, what do you call it? Like,
Acclaim.
I mean, yeah, man. I'm not 20. I'm not teen. But like when I look at title, like when I look at Tiger, like who does something like that, it just kind of like makes me feel like, man, I can probably do something like that too. You know what I
Nice.
mean?
Nice, yeah.
Age is just a number. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, like golf is shit.
Well, Young,
And golf
Young, Young, you actually said something that brings me to this. So, and by the way, for all of y'all tuning in, man, if you support and appreciate this show, man, I 495 man, L4 man, we appreciate you. Let's translate that over, because it's like George Foreman was in his 40s, and the story that I understand, whether it's true or not, so don't quote me on this, he came out of his retirement and he told his people, he was like, yo, I'm finna to be the heavyweight whatever champion of the world again. And they're like, nah, man, you washed up. You're like, you ain't finna do any of that again. And he's like, nah, like, watch, I'm gonna do it. and he did it. And so it's like I'm seeing that in the rap, hip hop, urban music industry now, where it's like the new thing is, aside from the mumble rappers and the whole auto tune world of the auto goonies, right? I shouldn't even say auto goonies because like Goonie is like a movie from the 80s. It's legendary. But I'm saying like the auto goons, the ghouls, the goons, the goons, the ghouls. I'm saying like aside from that, in contrast to that, you've got a whole legion of these legacy rap artists coming out of basically semi-retirement, and they're hitting the stage again, gracing the stage, blazing the stage, blessing the stage, doing world global tours. Not all of them. Some of them are just doing like local, regional, domestic, US, and like some overseas. But it's like, yo, what's the deal with like the whole, you know what I'm saying, like phenomenon of people like Tiger Wood translated over to the rap game? Like people are coming out of the wood, like Cool G Rap, man, like Cool G Rap. I saw him on Vlad TV. Man, what's going on with that phenomenon, man? It's like that's the new thing, man, is to come out of semi-retirement and put down some new lyrics, man.
Absolutely correct, and you're absolutely right, and that's what we. I mean, that's what I want to do. And like I said, the reason I want to, like bring that up, the reason I brought that tiger shit, you brought it up first,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like like somebody like them, somebody like him, somebody like OG, they're all like lost in spaces.
Yeah.
You're not into it, yeah, but like I said, space is so wide that like you could be lost, but you're not going nowhere.
That's right.
Right?
It all comes back to a point.
Absolutely. And there is a black hole. There's a term called black hole, right?
We just as humans, for the first time in human civilization on human record in modern times, we just imaged the very first black hole. And we all know, we don't even have to be scientists. We know there's something on the other side of that black hole that ain't just like people go through the black hole, they get torn up and turned into shreds and obliterated into smithereens and all kinds of pieces. Man, there's got to be some other universe, some other worlds, universes. There's other things on the other side of them black holes, though. For real, though.
That's like a space inspiration. Like like I said, that's just like recently. That's what's been happening. Tiger Woods, like humanity actually being able to take a shot at black hole, which has never
Yes.
been done. Yeah, and Tech Nine. When you talk about the game of the Tech Nine,
Yes.
like the
Strange
rap
music.
game.
Yes, strange music.
Yeah, strange music. It's strange, but man, like it works, and they're doing it.
A 100%. Tech Nine, from what I've read, he's the number one independent rap artist in the history of hip hop, rap, urban music ever to have put out as many tracks as he has as an independently signed artist, not signed currently to a major label. He sold more albums. Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that guy, man.
Likewise.
Dude, man.
Me too.
Out of
Salute.
all the rappers, I mean, there's so many rappers out here in the world right now, including myself and you.
Yes.
495.
Yes. L4, 495, 495, L4, absolutely in the house.
Yeah, we come from mixtapes, CDs.
Yes.
Now like MP3 to like streaming.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And what's next? Apple's coming out with like some like weird shit, like what what I'm talking about.
Let's discuss that. Let's discuss that for a minute. What's going on with Apple? What's Apple coming out with?
Apple's coming out with like TV Plus. Like they wanna, yeah. They're looking at this like there's like YouTube's, and what's the other one? What's the most famous one, bro?
Well, there's a lot of like Netflix, Vimeo, Hulu, Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Netflix. You all know Netflix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some part of the world they don't have the access to actually watch
which
But
is
like I
sad.
said,
That's sad too,
yeah,
by the way.
somewhere in North Korea, like they don't even know. They don't know like Netflix.
We need to
They
bring
don't
Netflix.
even have access to the internet except for like 10%. You know what I mean?
State
But
government, high ranking elite. We need, if somebody out there from North Korea is listening to us, man, look, we cool with North Korea. We ain't got no problem. We like to shoot a video in North Korea, man, and bring peace on
well,
the
we do
Korean
podcast.
Peninsula.
Podcast is a little, yeah, podcast is a little bit different than the YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like a streaming radio frequency, like it's audio based. So what I want to do is actually liberate. No, I'm not gonna say liberate, but like I said, I'm South Korean. I was born. I came to this United States when I was 15. I'm not like really American, but I'm not really Korean. You know what I
Word.
mean?
Word.
So I have a different perspective.
Indeed.
So yeah. So I want to save people like you. You save me, and I save you.
Yes.
And I want to save others. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Likewise. Me too. For sure.
Whereas when we're continue doing what we're doing, we're going to get to North Korea because that's a very isolated world.
Correct.
But North Korea is not the most isolated fucking world. There are other regions that are like fucked up too. But
Correct.
like I said,
and there's a lot of
podcast.
potential in North Korea, man. There's potential for peace. There's potential for peace between North and South. Yeah, the South and the North. Yep.
Geography. Yeah. And there's like Russia, China. There's like the Japanese fucking like a little island like
India.
Yeah. And like I said, I got my soul. I'm from Seoul. I'm from Seoul. That's my neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shout outs to Seoul. Shout outs to Japan. All of our allies and our people, our homies. You know what I'm saying? Our listeners from Japan, from China, from Korea, from North Korea, South Korea, from the whole region, man. Asia, man. India.
I cried sometimes looking at what's going on in the other part of the world. Like East Europe and like some parts of Africa.
Yeah.
Some parts of Asia.
Yep.
Some parts of Europe.
Russia. Shout outs to Russia.
Well, yeah, man, you don't know what they're going on.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, we don't.
Back to the story.
Not 100%.
Back to the story. Yeah, dude, man. Like, yeah, man. That's it.
So that's what we do, man. The podcast is the revolution, man. And some people have said that the revolution. Yeah, Yep. The frequency.
Actually, yeah, it's the frequency actually that could be heard by, like, obviously globe, but, they're like, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, we got to get the frequency out, like the voice of America, man. We got to liberate. We got to help liberate. We have to assist. We have to help wherever we can. Just bring peace, man. Just bring peace, man. Like everybody got to piece it up, man. Like our allies, our homies, our brethrens in Russia, in Mongolia. Shout outs to Ulaanbaatar and the whole country of Mongolia, India, China, Russia. Like I already said, you know what I'm saying? Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, man. Like Laos, like everywhere. Like in the world, not just at Africa, the continent, you know what I'm saying? Northern Europe, Eastern, Western Europe, Southern Europe, America, the Americas, South America, Central America, man. Our people, Spanish speakers, man, Latin America, Hispaniola, you know what I'm saying? Canada, man, Australia, Oceania, man, the whole globe, man. And what's going on in Antarctica, man? I heard that, like, they found some, like, ancient city or something. Like, it's not even science fiction or any kind of, like, fringe science. Like, a lot of like VIPs, dignitaries, and like world global leaders have been down in like, the like southern part of the globe, man, down by the South Pole. What's going on, man, in Antarctica, man? I heard something about like some ancient city was found down there, man. You heard anything about that?
Man, you asking the wrong person about that. But like I said,
He's like no comment.
we care so much. I care. We care about all parts of the world.
Of
You know what I
course,
mean?
of course.
That's why we're in the rap game.
That's
You know,
right.
like we're like we're like the Bob Marley of Jamaica. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes,
Like yeah, yeah, like like conflicts, controversial issues, dramas in your life. I know every day through 9 to 5, you got your job to go and work to. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yes.
And you have your passion to follow, but the following is not really that easy. That easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Working is working, but following is not that easy. You
True,
know what I mean?
true.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like that's what you were saying, man. I think we went. I mean, we do a lot of lateral talking, but like I said, uh, what were we talking about, bro?
So what's up with the
Well,
what? Yeah. So real quick, man, what's up with the 495L4 projects, man, for 2019 and beyond, man?
we got the tracks, man. Like the secret's been like fucking, like it's been revealed, man. Like it's been unlocked for a
Yeah.
few of us. And like I said, all we gotta do is like, we gotta rap on it. We gotta express ourselves. You know what I mean? You
Express
gotta tell me your
yourself.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta tell me your story. Otherwise, I would not know. You know what I mean? We
Like
can talk about the weather. Yeah,
like
we could
slick.
talk about the weather. I mean, that's nice. Like when you have a sunny sky, dude, man, you want to talk about the weather with all the people that you're around with. But like I said,
Like Slick Rick
we're
like Slick Rick the Ruler and like Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel in them, man, like the message, Sugar Hill Gang and everything.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like you gotta express yourself. You gotta tell me your story. So rap is basically like telling stories. You know,
Of course.
it's like yeah, yeah, yeah. So like lately, I've been like trying to tell my story, but I haven't really had a big story to tell. But to be honest with you, but like I said, every little story counts. You know what I mean? Like waking up in the morning, all right? You have a breakfast. Now, some people actually videotape that shit. You know what I mean?
Of course. Their
Like
pets, their
talk about
children like opening like toys and stuff, like pet YouTubes and like kids opening
yeah,
like toys on YouTube and stuff.
yeah. I mean, like you wake up, like get up, wash your face, take a shower, and cook a couple of eggs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Get a
people
couple
actually like,
get a couple of six
yeah,
get a couple of 69-cent chicken wings.
to do a little, maybe shoot a little B-rolls of like what you're doing,
Yeah.
like, and they make a video and they actually put it on the YouTube. And the YouTube is a fucking like, it's like I don't know, man. To be honest with you, we all watch that shit like we used to watch CNN. Like, what's going on, man? What do you think about the YouTube, man, bro?
About what, YouTube?
Yeah,
Oh man, like I'm glad you brought that up, man. Like YouTube, it's really interesting, man. It's almost like I really say that what it's akin to, what it's equivalent to, what it's like parallel to, is it reminds me of the whole like revolution, the whole like materialization, the whole phenomenon, the whole like trend and the whole era of the 1980s going into the 90s, where it was like Nintendo Entertainment System, where it was like all of a sudden you didn't have to go to the arcade and play stand-up arcade games. You could like play video games at home for the first time that weren't Atari games. Atari was dope, but it was like all of a sudden your favorite Mario and Luigi, whatever, Shinobi, like, you know what I'm saying, Sega, like that generation, that era, that time in history, space time history. It's like I see YouTube is being a loop back in time to that time, and not just that, but like a million times better than that era, because now you can go on YouTube and you can look at anything. You can look at frames from like any time going back since like humans started to like collect and record and like store information in our like human knowledge collective, like human knowledge base. So it's like this is a future, but it's like the question then is like, what's after this? If we're doing a million times what we were doing when like Nintendo first debuted with the Nintendo Entertainment System, with the light gun, Duck Hunt, like Gyromite, Mario and Luigi, Super Mario Brothers. It's like, what is it that we can't see like over the horizon of space time? What's the next advent in like technology? What's the next advancement that like even if you go on to YouTube, like even if you go on to YouTube right now, like what are we not seeing that is going to be the next biggest fucking technology that's going to blow the world away? Not in a bad way, but in a good fucking positive way.
I think it's more like, remember the back in the days, I don't know if you all remember, but like in some of the old, you probably remember the encyclopedia. Like, remember the,
Oh,
like the books of,
encyclopedia. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, remember the days, like you like every household had encyclopedia. Right?
Encyclopedia, yeah, like MapQuest and shit.
And,
Yeah,
and like,
totally.
when you look at encyclopedia, like you have everything. So like you A to Z. You know what I mean? You know,
Netscape,
like when you
yeah.
were looking for that, yeah,
AOL, yeah,
that
totally.
was yeah, that was the source. That was the source. That was the source. Like if you didn't have an encyclopedia, man, you don't know what the fuck's going on. You don't know what really happened in the past, and you don't know what's going to really happen in the future. Actually, encyclopedia didn't really have the vision of the future, but what I'm trying to say is like YouTube is kind of like like basically like 2019 forms of encyclopedia where people rely on. You know what I mean? For
Right.
information.
Like
You
Wikipedia.
know what I
Like
mean?
like Wikipedia,
Yeah, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? But like obviously they have videos. It's not just but like I'm not gonna really get into all that detail of like writing, the videos,
Right. It's
whatnot.
no
But
it's no it's not like you like if I'm following you, it's and I believe that I am. It's not like it used to be where it was like static image of like a page of a book or text and it's like background white like text like black
yeah,
letters.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like remember the days like we used to kind of like, hey, what is like Gangnam Style? Like that's that shit,
Gangnam
right?
style.
Gangnam
Sigh.
Style.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean? What is Gangnam Style? Then like you have like as a general person, then you have to all you gotta do is like right now you gotta go to YouTube and type like Gangnam Style,
Yeah,
and it
Google.
shows like all this fucking related referenced information about Gangnam Style, including the content of the Gangnam Style itself. But
Yes.
like encyclopedia back in the days, that's what we used to do. If I want to know like, okay, how do I yodel in Switzerland, right? Then
Yeah.
you gotta like go to
Yodeling. Yeah,
Wikipedia.
yodeling. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you gotta like find the book, and you gotta go to the text as S, right?
Go
Switzerland,
go
right?
go go to
And
the
then
go to the library sometimes and go through the Dewey Decimal System. Maybe even
yeah, I
ask
mean that's like
maybe
that's like a little bit thing after
yeah.
library, yeah, library is like fucking 1980s, and I mean it existed fucking long time, but I'm
Maybe
talking
maybe
general, like
maybe
general people.
maybe even ask a like librarian for help. And Hyung, I'm not trying to cut you off, but you brought up an interesting um topic. So or you raised an interesting notion. So
Uh-huh.
there was a movie H.G. Wells that's from the book, famous book by H.G. Wells, The Time Machine. Spoiler alert for anyone listening. So one of the things that happens is like a lot of people who don't know, who haven't seen the movie, they haven't read the book, maybe they read the book and they didn't see the movie, or they saw the movie, they didn't read the book. One of the things that's interesting is just kind of like the guy, the black gentleman, African American gentleman, he does He does the deodorant commercials for TV, the Old Spice. Well, there was a black African American gentleman. Similarly, he did Sprite, as in the like soda, like Sprite, like soda commercials in the movie The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. And again, it's a spoiler alert, like spoiler alert. In the movie, there's a time in that movie, there's a sequence, there's a scene where the time machine is at a certain time and he gets out of the time machine and there's this kind of like lattice, kind of matrix, kind of glass like kind of like holographic structure, and it's the dude that had previously, like, not in the movie but like in our world, he had done the Sprite commercials for like the soda beverage company. In the movie The Time Machine, yeah, in the movie The Time Machine, he's basically like a virtual librarian. He's like a virtual librarian, and he knows the entire history of the world up to that time. And you could ask him as like a virtual assistant. He's like a librarian, but not like in the flesh. You can like put your hand and like wave it around through him.
Kind of like Amazon.
Yeah, it's like Alexa. He was the first. He was like one of the first Alexas, man. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. We used to have to go to the book.
You're completely right. You're
Yes.
completely right. And I happen to live in the 80s and 90s, and 2000. Right now, we're actually going to live in 2020. Man, I remember when I was a kid, man. Like 2020, that's like some space shit.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
2020, when I was a kid, and I would say like, if I in 2020, I would fucking be fucking like, it's spaceship.
Fuck yeah, George Jetson shit. We were like 2020. That's outer space shit right there. Hell yeah.
That's what I imagined when I was a kid. But right now, like, it's only a year apart, right?
Yeah. Oh, my bad, young. My bad, young. For some reason in my mind, I thought just for like a microsecond, millisecond, I actually was thinking for like a nanosecond. I fucked up. I thought this was 2020. You're right. We ain't even hit 2020 yet. It's still 2019 at the time that we recorded this cast. You're right.
2020 is going to be the major year for myself and you. Like, we're doing something together. We have project, and we have a global project.
Yes.
495 crew that we're actually recruiting, and we have been recruiting.
Yes.
We've been working. It's going to actually pay off in 2020. I know for that sure.
495L4, 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 level 4 in the house. What's happening? Yes, absolutely, young.
What I was trying to say is, like, when I was a kid, like 2020 was like fucking like, man, I literally fucking dreamed about 2020 when I was a kid, and I would be flying in the fucking spaceship, and I go to fucking stop by at the moon and take a little piss. You know what I mean?
Mars burgers and shit, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Little moons, little moons, little moons stop off, little truck stop on the moon and shit, take a little piss, like you said.
Like moon was a little like a bathroom kind of like, it's always like dark and shit. So I always thought like I would probably stop by moon with a leak, like like I'll take a little fucking piss off.
A little leak. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I mean? So that's the kind of like the dream that I had. But right now, to be honest with you, man, like it ain't gonna happen.
No, it is. It is. And it is, young. And you know what's weird? It is. And I understand what you're saying. Like, it's not gonna happen, but you actually mean that it is, because you're like holding out, just saying like on the conservative, like, intelligence.
Michael Jackson is cool, right? Taking a fucking like dump, right?
Well, it's interesting that you would talk about taking like a dump, like defecating on the moon, because China, for the first time on our recorded history timeline, China just recently grew vegetation, like green, like planting seeds and then like growing. China,
What are they growing, man? Like opium and shit?
well,
What are they
well,
growing?
well, so look, this is what's really interesting. Have you seen the movie with Mark Wahlberg called The Martian?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So some people, some
I'm not really a big fan of the, like I'm glad that you mentioned about the sci-fi movies, man. Like, I don't know, man. As you get a little bit older, sci-fi movies are a little bit like out of sci-fi.
but young,
You know what I mean?
but young. It's interesting that you were about to say that because check this out. This is what's really interesting. I was a huge and still am to
No,
this
what
day.
I'm saying is like Hollywood is not really doing good job, motherfuckers.
But
You
but
know,
but
like,
but young, but listen, suspend your judgment for a minute. This is what's interesting about the Mandela effect. So check it out. As it turns out, because I was a big fan of Marky Mark and the and the Funky Bunch.
Funky Bunch.
Yep. And look, I've
Good,
always
good, good vibration.
wait, hold on, young. For our world global audience, do it a couple more times. Bust it. How did Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch get down? Do
Good vibration. No, no, I'm not. I'm a singer. I'm a professional singer, but the reason I do it like that is,
yeah.
like, yeah, it's jingle.
Of
Marky Mark,
course. It's a
yeah,
jingles
dude,
too.
yeah, Funky Bunch, he plays fucking phenomenal golf. He's probably like one of those like like Hollywood celebrities. Probably plays the best golf in the game.
Bro, bro,
Of course, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump plays like phenomenal golf.
of course.
But he like cheats. He like
Well, I don't
he
know
like
about that, but look, young. Here's what's weird. Here's what's so young, so young. So check it out, check it out, check it out. Here's what's weird. So Marky Mark, aka Mark Wahlberg, right? And and Matt Damon, right? We're talking because we're really talking about Massachusetts. We're talking about New England, right? We're not just talking about like Mark. Bro, look. This is what's interesting. When they made the movie The Martian, when they made the movie The yeah, the niggas from New England. So peep game, check game, bruh. Like here's what's interesting. The movie The Martian, spoiler alert, when Matt Damon was starring in the movie The Martian, as it turns out, the whole premise that he's marooned on Mars and that he had to try to grow for the first time because in the movie no one had ever done it before. When he was trying to grow vegetables, i.e., that is potatoes, as it turns out, in the real world, botanists, biologists, scientists, chemists, physicists, people in the in just casual observers, scientist observers, it is true. It is true.
ended up growing inside the spaceship.
Outside. Look. It is true. It is true. We 100% certain. We were lied to. We were lied to as a human race because of design. It is absolutely true that when you look at a grocery store and all the processed foods like cans of soup, like chicken noodle soup with all the high sodium and all the different things that people can eat because they're getting off work and they're hungry and they're going to buy food, blah, 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 blase, blah, yada, yada, yada. The truth is, people, God forbid it ever happens and there's any type of cataclysm or any type of like catastrophic event, but it is true. It is true. If you look at the young woman that was in England, her mother raised her until she was like 6 years old. She never ate fruits or vegetables. She never ate anything other than chicken nuggets, and she's alive. Apparently, potatoes contain everything that a human being needs. Obviously, stores, grocery stores, corporations didn't want for people to know this, but it is true that you can live off fucking potatoes kind of, sort of indefinitely. Yes, it's bland. Yes, there isn't any kind of like spice or dressing or anything unless you have those things. But it is absolutely scientifically true that a person, that is a human being, can live off potatoes. Now, check this out. Flash forward to China. China, when it landed on the moon for the first time, or not the first time, but when it landed on the moon recently, is what I meant to say. It grew, it showed the rest of the world, like, hey, America's lying to you in some way. It is, you can absolutely grow vegetation on the moon because they did it and they showed it. And yes, whatever we were told in school about space is a vacuum and space is cold and there's not a whole lot you can really do unless like we advance our, no, that was all bullshit. China proved and they showed with their own rover. We
I believe that. I believe that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. And
like the
but but
just like the Apple, Apple computers they make, and you ended up like now like the laptops
uh-huh.
computers,
Uh-huh. So
and they make much better, and they prove it. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. The rest of the world probably would know.
you talking about like Microsoft versus like Apple.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not the Microsoft versus like iOS, but what I'm trying to say is like yeah, I can definitely see like what you just said, like China proved the plantation can be actually worked out in space. Yeah, dude.
So that's not even the clincher. So that's not even the clincher. So listen, kind of like Art Bell, Coast to Coast, people are going to think, maybe some of them who don't know, maybe this is fringe. I'm going to throw in a little twist in this podcast. So this is what people are talking about now. This might sound a little strange to the average listener, but check this out. America, out of every country on planet Earth, is the only country that has refused to declassify every single piece of its UFO, that is alien information, that it is recorded. The European Union, that is England, London, the UK, they have already said, look, hey, America, you got to tell people the truth, because if not, people are going to become restless and they're going to ask questions. Even Paul Heller, the Canadian foreign leader, he even said that he had been personally in contact with aliens. America's the last country out of all countries on planet Earth to admit to extraterrestrial alien interaction. Now, but that's not the clincher. So check it out. So now, when you look at the Gaia project, and you have all these military and government officials, not just from the military Department of Defense in the United States, but all these different officials, and they've come out and they've said, look, we worked at these bases, these installations, these facilities. It's not that we've just seen unidentified aerial phenomena, but we have actually seen aliens like face to face. And America's like, no comment. So what's interesting about the moon is that my grandmother, who was in World War II, and my grandfather, they had a set of encyclopedias. There are three things that are really interesting. Number one, the camera phone, when someone knocks on your door and is like, knock, knock, is Charlie there? The camera phone was actually created back in the 1960s at the Department of Defense in the US. That technology can be seen in certain old encyclopedias. It says U.S. Department of Defense, camera phone. That's one thing. And again, the internet itself was created in the year 1969. So before 1970, in 1969, the internet was a protocol whereby scientists at the North Pole, South Pole, North Pole, and different places that were disparate, they could communicate with each other. So that technology, the internet itself, existed in the 1960s. That's one thing. Number two, in my grandmother's encyclopedias, there was no question. There was no question that there was water on Mars. If you read the section on Mars, it clearly said Mars is a planet that is relatively inhabitable and there is an abundance of water on Mars. There was no question. The third thing is that my cousin Rizzo, who studied in England because my family's of European American heritage, it's really interesting because he and I were like you and our friends that are like, nerdy, brainy, IT, geeky, like, we like to read encyclopedias,
I see the moon right now, man. Right now,
Well, well, if you see it, Mike, imagine this. Back in 1980, my cousin, when my uncle was quizzing us, and he said to his son, my biological cousin, who's 9 months older than me, and we were always in the same class, even though we're, 9 months apart, he asked us, "What is the moon?" My cousin, his son, said, "Oh, I know the answer. It's an artificial satellite." And I looked at him and I said, "What do you mean? This is 1980." I said, "What do you mean it's an artificial satellite?" He said, "Well, that's what we were taught in school. The moon is an artificial satellite." I said, "Well, the moon is a celestial body. It's a rock in space. What do you mean by a satellite? It's not." He said, "No." And we got into an argument. He said, "I'm telling you, it's an artificial satellite." And I was like, "What is an artificial satellite?" We looked it up in the dictionary. And in the dictionary, he was right. Not just the encyclopedia. It said the moon is an artificial satellite. So what I'm saying, Young, is the story that has emerged now is this. 2/3 of all humans from every country on earth believe not the global government story that there is no alien existence. 2/3 of all humans on earth from every region, every country believes that there are extraterrestrials. And the thing about the moon is that there is a belief, there is a theory that the moon is actually hollow. Because if you look at ancient records of what was in space around the earth, at some point the ancients say that the moon was actually brought into our galaxy cluster. And when you hear about like Pink Floyd, when they talk about the dark side of the moon, there really technically isn't a dark side of the moon per se. It's really technically the far side of the moon. So when you hear about these people that say that they were abducted by like aliens for like human like medical experiments to like take like semen samples and ovarian samples and stuff like that, and they're like, "Where are you taking us?" And the aliens are like, "We're going to take you to the dark side of the moon." They're actually talking about the far side of the moon. The moon is apparently hollow, and there's actually, like, if you look at NASA declassified information, there are cities on the moon, there are telescopes on the moon, there are nuclear power plants on the moon, and the moon is not what we were told that it is. The moon is actually an artificial satellite that was brought here to basically keep very close watch of us. I just heard that. I don't know if it's true.
it's a lighting system. It's a lighting system. It's a lighting system that's for the night. Okay, so
Makes sense.
basically what you're trying to say, yeah, that is a very good theory, and I like that. And man, once again, this dude, man, like this dude talks about some deep shit.
Well, yeah. What did they say in Korea? What did they say? Like, is there anything equivalent in Korea in terms of like ancient times? Was there ever any stories that you recall from like talking to elders? Did you ever hear anything about like the moon, our moon
Well,
system?
there are a lot of stories. There are a lot of stories. People like, you don't know. Like some, like human eye, humanity. Like you say, like 2.0 is your eye, like best eyesight, right?
Okay,
Right? Actually, that's not true. Some people actually can see what's on the surface of the moon, and
interesting.
yeah, some people can actually see without looking at the, like scope of a fucking camera,
Through a
right?
lens, like without a lens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, some people can actually see, like, what's going on in the moon. Like, like, remember, like, back in the days, like, I'm not gonna, like, I don't really have a knowledge to talk about, like, astrology and, like, on behalf. But, like I said, some people can see what's going on over there better than others.
I believe that.
And what I'm trying to say is that, what you just said actually is, it makes sense. It perfectly makes sense. You just have to prove it. You just have to, write up a story. You have to write it down, right?
Yeah.
And make people believe, and that's what it is. But when I look at it, you're absolutely, you could be right. You could be right. As far as like fun stories, um, I know in Korean way, like Korean old saying, you can see a rabbit on the moon.
I
Rock.
heard that. I heard, that is so interesting that you say that because when I was a very small child, like under the age of 5, I heard that there used to be the story of the man on the moon, but then later I heard something about if you look like you said, there's a rabbit. That what is that? What is that from?
Well, I'm not going to do that. It's it's going to be another episode. That we're
Yes,
going to have to talk about it. But like I
indeed.
said, I'm literally looking at the moon right now. It's like, I see something. I see something. And moon doesn't really look the same all the time. The moon,
Correct.
like I said, like it's a lighting system. It's a lighting system. During the day, you have sun. Okay. And at night, you have to have some kind of bulb like light or LED light at night to
True,
light it,
true.
right? And moon to me is just a lighting system at night. And
Makes
like
sense.
without the moon, the world probably would be a little darker than what we're looking at, right?
Correct. Yes. I'm looking at the moon right now, now that you say that, and I see this. I see it's like I had to look for the moon, and then when I found it where I am, like there are a lot of clouds and they're basically covering the moon, but then you can see it and they're like very slow moving. But I see what you're saying. I can kind of see that like pattern, that like inchoate, that amorphous kind of rabbit kind of like pattern. I see what you're saying. Like you're right because if there wasn't a moon, the sky would be much darker at nighttime for
And
humans.
sometimes when we look at the sky, you see like right now there's hardly no wind action going on.
Exactly. That's what I was just saying. Exactly. It's like slow moving, like Matrix slow motion.
So it's all about the motion and the lighting and action of the crowd, and that that that's actually what makes the night. Okay,
Hmm.
night. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we got all this lighting system. You go home, you like turn on the switch, you got light,
All
right?
right.
Just about 30 years ago, man, you had to actually put up a fucking candlelight everywhere,
True.
right?
True.
Before you had literally had no light, right?
Yes.
right? And you rely on moon. There is no moon or in the sky. And then some nights you don't see the moon.
That is true
Dark
too.
as hell.
That is true too.
It's called darkness.
Mm.
It's dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just imagine yourself living in that kind of environment. You know that how scary that it could be, right?
Yeah. I've heard about a tribe in Africa. It's so pitch black dark there that they don't ever see any kind of like moonlight per se, and they know
I mean,
like
that's why
well,
some parts of the world they worship moon as a god.
well,
They worship.
Hyung, the way this particular tribe in Africa is situated in relation to the night sky, they live in like almost complete darkness, and somehow, some way, they're so in tune with time. If you ask them what time of day it is, they know what time. They're like, this is the time of day. They can tell you. They know the exact time of day down to the like to the minute. They know. Yeah, there's. Yep.
Remember Chum Sum Day? Like Chum Sum Day is like a little like rock based like like I just like gapped out. But like Chum Sum Day, like if you're Korean, somebody's like like knows like what I'm talking about. You know what they're talking. They know what I'm talking about. Chum Sum Day is like like it's like the little like rock stone like space watching station
Okay.
they built like fucking 1,000 years ago. Okay?
Oh, you're talking about like the Dark Knight satellite system, the Black Knight satellite system that like oversees Earth.
Yeah, and that's how you like actually just write it down, mathematically, or just actually you just write down like you have reports every day. You gotta write the report every day, like what happened today. And think about it, man. Like that's a lot of work, man.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
like the Farmer's Almanac, like the Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah. So I mean, like, dude, man. Right now, man, we're just talking about like all this
Yeah,
stuff shit.
that's what I was gonna say, Hyung. Like we got a good hour show. What we need to do is, you know what I'm saying? Like we gotta just keep up this momentum. This is 57 minutes and 45 seconds right now, man. We need to keep our, you know what I'm saying, show format, man. Have you back on the show. Obviously, you're 495 L4, you know what I'm saying? L4
We
495.
gotta have a clear ending. We gotta have a clear. I know you're gonna edit this, but
No editing here, man. Just gonna click publish and go straight to the web.
Wants to grow, man. Podcast.
That, my
No
home,
editing.
my home,
What the fuck, man?
my homeboy
I'll
Michael
probably
J.
sound
My
dumb
homeboy Michael.
motherfucker tonight. I'll probably sound like a dumb motherfucker tonight looking at the book.
No, man. This is podcast. That's how we do,
Yeah.
man. It's the homie
No,
Michael.
but it's all good, man.
The homie
It's
Michael.
me. Michael J.
Yep.
Doesn't know any better.
No. Mike.
Michael J.
No, man. Look, Michael. It's been awesome, man, to have Michael J.K. Choi, aka Mike C, come up on the show. You know what I'm saying? 495 L4, man. And we're just gonna keep doing.
Man, you and I, when we like rap, like there is no end. Like the universe and space that we've been talking about.
Man, we just be rapping. We just be rocking.
Yeah, I'm glad that you have invited me to your show.
Thank you.
Once again.
Thank you for coming on.
Your show again.
Anytime,
I'll
man.
probably do the show again. But like all the listeners out there, wants to grow. He's my main boy.
Likewise, Mike is my dude. He's my dude.
He's a smart dude.
Mike is a smart dude as well.
Yeah, he's also a comedian like myself.
Equally.
Plus entrepreneur. We're actually rich. You guys didn't know.
Nice. We give back. We give back to the community.
We actually do this for fun.
Yes.
Do this for fun.
True.
But we've been poor before.
We
Like I
have
said,
been 69-cent chicken wings. We
yeah,
was living off that
man, that's
nachos,
what. Yeah,
7-Eleven
man.
nachos
We
and
could talk
shit.
about. Yeah, we could talk about like like that chicken wing story or whatnot, man. We used to like that's a lot of shit that we haven't
Young,
talked about, but
young. That'll be our next show. Look, 2 seconds. Come back. Peace.